Welcome to the Perfect Pairing Podcast. The cigar of the week this week is the Fratello the Boxer.
But before we get to that, in case you guys don't already know us, my name is Chris, and I am the whiskey expert, but the cigar noob.
And I'm Adam, and I'm the cigar expert, but the whiskey noob.
And as Adam mentioned, this week we're finding the perfect pairing for this Fratello the Boxer. Is the full name of the brand Fratello Oro, or did I make that up? No, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, Fratello cigars. Oh, Fratello Oro. This is probably actually Fratello Oro the Boxer, theoretically.
Okay.
I've seen it both ways for whatever reason, but I think Oro
Now I'm curious if
in
that is like a
Spanish
different
is
language for something.
close to zero because there's like Modelo Oro, which is
I think it might be
non-alcoholic.
gold.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. No, but Modelo
I could be way wrong about that.
Oro. Actually, I think you're right.
I'm Googling as we speak.
I mean,
Okay,
that would make
Oro
sense.
is gold.
It's a really nice. Okay, Fratello Oro the Boxer.
Maybe
Sorry, Omar.
Fratello's, yeah, just like a name.
Yeah. Well, Fratello is the brand. The brand is Fratello cigars, so I know that for a
Okay.
fact. But
Okay.
this could be Fratello Oro the Boxer. Maybe there's a gold series that I didn't read up enough about. But
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah. But I know,
I better get it
yeah,
lit.
Fratello cigars. I mean, Omar, the owner, he's a good friend of mine. Fun fact: he is an ex-NASA employee, and he's, I believe, Colombian, if I'm not mistaken. But he's like 6'8", like 200 and something, a lot of pounds. Like he's a big boy, and he's like,
Jeez.
I'm pretty sure he's like, he might be Brazilian. I don't know. No, he's pretty white. So I think I don't know. He might be
Beats.
Spanish or something. But
I think people
he's
get
a
more
big Latin
pale
guy.
down towards Brazil. I think because you get so far below
No,
the
I think
equator,
like
like they even have winter times and stuff.
right. I think it's like maybe Chile. Like could be something like that. But
That
yeah,
could
I
be.
mean, like it's been super interesting to see him come onto the cigar scene. He's come on. I can't remember how long the brand has been around, but I don't think it's more than 10 years. So they're pretty new. Um, I mean, it might not even be 5 years. I know I felt like it was pretty close, or maybe they just got popular pretty close to when I kind of hit the scene 3 years ago. So
That
I
sounds
don't know
about right.
exactly.
Because like I was still very barely into cigars back then, but I remember wanting to try Fratello because I like the diagonal bands that they got going on. So I remember, which
Nice.
the timing kind of lines up there. But have I told you? Speaking of him being from NASA, have I told you that my degree is in aerospace? So that's pretty awesome that he works for NASA for me.
You did not tell me that.
Yeah, I'm just real.
Your
I'm like, I
degree
guess
is
I've never told him that.
your degree is in aerospace engineering.
Yeah, that's what I got my degree in, and then I ended up. Nowadays, I basically do mechanical, but aero is kind of like mechanical. Plus, you learn aerodynamics and you learn about airplanes and stuff. But yeah,
I
so
mean,
that's pretty
what's
awesome.
the goal? What's the goal with that?
With
Like, do
aero,
you want to be like, yeah?
I think the goal for a lot of people would be NASA, or we get a lot of folks at my college that would go to Lockheed Martin. Some people, I don't know if anybody really went to SpaceX from my college because we're so far from down there, but yeah. So that was probably most people's goals. I will say that I really thought aerospace was super cool when I went into it, and then when it came time to get a job, I was like, I don't really care if it's an airplane or a car or a tractor. Like, you're designing something at the end of the day, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're not like, man, I need to like, I need to help engineer like a rocket or anything like
Right.
that.
That at first I was like when I was like a freshman, but like
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
got into my job, I was like, oh, this is the same thing. It just doesn't fly. Like, you're doing the same
Fair
process
enough.
though. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, shit, my degree's in education and communications, so like I'm doing that 100%, man. I'm
I was gonna
educating
be
people
saying
about cigars and communicating, like
that's exactly what I was gonna say. You're literally doing that. It's not necessarily the way it was intended, probably, but you're
yeah, I mean,
educating and
my
communicating.
minor was in theology, so like, like here's the Holy Ghost
How
for you.
How did I not know this about you, dude? I'm big into theology. Have we not talked about this before?
We have not.
Well, we're gonna have to. I don't want to like just
We're gonna
that
have to
could
talk about it.
be the whole podcast. So let's not. But that's awesome.
Yeah, I was a
I've
religion teacher for a year. That's what I did my first year out of college.
what?
Yeah.
You never told me any of that, dude. I've considered trying to get like a night degree with theology, like try to learn more about either theology or philosophy. That's amazing. I never
Yeah.
knew that. We just learned something.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty interesting because I taught 19 going into 20, so 20 was obviously COVID year, and I had already planned to leave teaching. Like I enjoyed the kids and like I enjoyed like not like that.
I get you though.
I enjoy. No, I'm just kidding. I enjoyed. I paused too long. I I enjoyed like the building and all that sort of stuff, like building young minds and all that. I taught sophomores and I loved all the students, like it was awesome. But I couldn't handle doing the same thing 7 times a day for 40 years. Just like
Oh yeah.
there was no like now I have like I'm I'm part owner at least of 3 businesses and full owner of 2, and Dreamer Cigars has 3 different branches, and like I every
Mm-hmm.
day I wake up and I could like, yeah, there's so many different things going on, and like this is more my like space. Like
Yeah.
yeah, if I had, even when I had one job, I was like, man, this is, if like I didn't have a lot going on that day, I would just try and invent a business out of nowhere. I'd be like, I'm so bored. Like,
Right. You
I
need
wonder
something
how I can make
exciting.
more money. Yeah,
Yes.
I have to be stimulated in the mind of like, I don't know, whatever. It's just I got the entrepreneur bug. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really the only thing. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good experience. I was a football coach too, and one of the guys I coached, Michael Mayer, he's now in the NFL playing for the Raiders. So he's
That's awesome.
the yeah, he has like all the tight end records for Notre Dame, and that's like Notre Dame University, or I mean, it is Notre
Yeah.
Dame University, but
Holy cow.
or University of Notre Dame. But yeah, it's like tight end university is what I was meant to say. So like, yeah,
Mm.
that was pretty cool. So I can always brag because I was 16-0 as a high school football coach, and I've never
Jeez,
lost.
that's awesome.
And I don't think I'm gonna go back to coaching high school football unless like someday I'm having a daughter this first time. So like, we'll see if I have a son in the future, and maybe I'll coach him or
Right.
something like that. But I mean, if not, then I'll die undefeated high school football coach.
Hey, that's pretty.
Never
You
lost,
should have
man.
that etched onto your gravestone. That way, people know.
Yeah, that might be not my favorite accomplishment, but
Yeah.
I was
You know,
I was just the assistant safeties coach. But
I promise we'll get to the pairing, but just last thing about that, because it's so funny that, like, at least in the influencer space, we talk to people so much. I have a lot of people, like you included, that I consider my friends, but we don't talk about like day jobs or past jobs like ever, because like
yeah,
you know them through the space. So like I'm
yeah,
about to go to Kentucky Bourbon Festival and see a bunch of influencers that I know through the bourbon space, and I couldn't tell you what any of them do for their actual living, like because we
yeah,
don't talk
yeah,
about that. We talk about the hobby more than anything else. It's so weird.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I never knew you were an aerospace guy, so yeah,
Yeah,
or
fun
you
fact
were
about me.
were at one point. But
Yeah.
all right, so what are you getting out of the cigar?
All right.
Huge tangent. What are
So,
you getting out of the cigar?
yeah, this cigar honestly has thrown me a little bit for a loop. Here's why. It has the Connecticut sweetness. It's kind of creamy. It's got ooh, what's the flavor that I'm trying to nail down? Maybe it's like almond or something. It's got like a nice, sweet, approachable flavor to it. But it's also got a little bit of spice to it that I didn't expect to get from it. Like not like harsh spice, not like very punchy. I don't think I'd really describe it as punchy, but just like a little kick to it, like a little bit of, oh, hey, there's some body there. Maybe like a little bit of cinnamon or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that 100%. It definitely, so it's a Connecticut wrapper. I can't remember what the binder is. Pretty sure the binder and filler on are Honduran, but don't quote me on that. But I do know the very specific, like unique flavor about this is it has a Colombian tobacco in the filler. So that could be the twist here that's adding. This is probably the only cigar I've ever had that I know of that has Colombian tobacco in it. So I'm like, that could be it. But I
Mm-hmm.
also know that I've tried to blend myself a Connecticut cigar before, and to just get a light cigar and not have anything else. Yeah, it is really hard to not have any
Right.
spice. Like I so this is very similar to actually a cigar that I blended for the Onward Dreams line.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to come up with the lightweight champ, and we had a little hint of Lajero in it. We had one leaf of Lajero in the filler, and that was where the spice was. And we're having it reblended currently to do half a leaf of Lajero to see if
Wow.
that was the spice. Yeah, like that's how like intricate the blending can be. But we'll
Yeah.
see, and that could be what's happening in here. But I think this is a cigar that people that like for me, like I'm not on a Connecticut kick. I have been on one plenty of times in the past. It has been a little while, maybe because we haven't had a lot in the Perfect Pairing Club necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is one that I can enjoy right now because it's not too simple.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. I wouldn't be me if I didn't throw out something a little bit crazy. So I want your opinion.
Oh boy. Okay.
Ready? Cinnamon raisin bread.
Oh boy.
Ah? He's puffing. He's thinking if you're not watching the video version.
No, I'll give you cinnamon though. I'm not getting any bread.
All right. All right. I'll take
Definitely
it.
not raisin. Definitely
It-
not raisin. But maybe it'll come out in one of these pairings.
Hey, maybe it will. Which actually, so this first pairing, I feel like now that I've had the cigar, because I hadn't before this podcast, it's like the whiskey equivalent maybe to this cigar. So I'm really excited to see what happens. So the cigar for me is like a Connecticut plus a little something. Like there's a little something going on there. This whiskey, so our first whiskey is Powers John's Lane Irish whiskey. So this is a 12-year-old Irish whiskey. I don't remember if they say on the bottle what it's finished / aged in. If I had to just guess, I'd say sherry and or bourbon, excuse me, casks. But at any rate, I can look that up as we're tasting it. But Powers John's Lane Irish whiskey. So it is an Irish whiskey. So it's very approachable, a lot like Connecticut's tend to be. But this one specifically for me has a lot of body to it. I don't even see the percent alcohol by volume on
Definitely.
here.
40 it's 46.
46. Okay. Which is, it's not 80, but even, it's not 80 proof, it's 92. But even just that little bit extra proof, it's got so much more body to me. Like it definitely is full flavored, which I really enjoy about it. Because sometimes for me, Irish whiskeys are a little bit too mellow. So I feel like this is like the whiskey equivalent to this cigar.
Yeah, I would agree with that because right away I took a small sip, and of course it was my first kind of coating of whiskey on the palate today. But holy cow, it filled my mouth 100% with bold flavors. It like right when it hit my tongue, I felt like it hadn't even reached the roof of my mouth, but I felt like I was tasting it everywhere.
Yeah.
That was definitely bold. And then going back to the cigar, so going from the I'm gonna get it right, the Powers John's Lane. I was gonna say like Johnny Powers or something.
Mm-hmm.
Powers John's Lane going to the Fratello Oro, the Boxer. That was very interesting because now I think the cigar has this like Corojo vibe going on.
100%. Wow. You
Yeah.
said that right as I was taking a puff, and I'm like, that's bold. That is a bold cigar
Mm-hmm.
suddenly. Holy cow.
100%.
I would even say a little bit of black pepper, like maybe a really really light amount of like a chocolate, but like a little black pepper. Corojo is a perfect description. Like that's exactly what that tastes like.
Yeah. I mean, and all the parts that we were talking about were definitely elevated. That spice, that potential
Yes.
cinnamon. I do think it is more of a black pepper here spice than a cinnamon for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So if you are somebody that maybe had this Fratello Oro, the Boxer, and you were like, well, you know what, that is a little too light. Well, go figure. An Irish whiskey is going to help it be elevated to a heavier body. Like I couldn't have guessed that coming out of the gate for sure.
No, not at all. Like I thought even that the Irish, even though this is a fuller bodied Irish whiskey, that it might have still been a little too mellow. So that was really interesting that it actually elevated the cigar like that. Um, I haven't gone back to the whiskey yet, which I'm going to here in a second. But just last comment on the cigar is it. I think you're right that it's more black pepper than it was cinnamon, but it's got. Uh, I'm gonna resort to bad tasting notes again. It's got the tobacco-y tobacco, the corojo-y corojo type flavor as well. Like that's not really a flavor note, but just tastes like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I think it does. I think you're accurate. Yeah, I'm not necessarily. It's confusing for me because I'm like, well, it's not the tobacco that I think is in here, but it might be the Colombian coming out. It's like when we had that Harman Solomon Grand Architect, and it had that Paraguay in there, and we were like, well, we don't know where that came from, so I guess it's Paraguay. Like,
Right.
and if you're out there and you're trying to figure out different tasting notes and what am I supposed to get from a rye? What am I supposed to get from a Connecticut? What am I supposed to get from, Irish whiskey? What am I supposed to get from Colombian tobacco? Like, this is how you do it. You
Mm-hmm.
test and you figure out, like, okay, well, I think I know everything else that's going on, but I don't know what's going on there. And there's only one thing that's different. You changed one variable in your test. Well, that could be it. So Colombian must be a little spicy. I mean, that's the hypothesis that we're going to have today.
100%. It's kind of like with bourbon, where like when it's finished, you can just try a bourbon and then try a bourbon finished in port cask. And the thing that doesn't taste like bourbon, that's the port cask finish most of the time. Speaking of which, I looked up the John's Lane. I was correct. So it's mostly finished in first fill American bourbon casks. So barrels that used to have bourbon in them. And then there's a small contribution from Oloroso sherry casks. So just a little bit of that sherry. And let me tell you, when you go from the Fratello to the John's Lane, suddenly the John's Lane is sweet. It's like sweet, creamy, sugary. I'm so glad it's a little bit fuller bodied because it doesn't just become boring sweet. It's like it still has some body to it. It's just a sweeter body overall, which is very nice.
I was hoping you were going to say it. You didn't say the one tasting note that I was getting caramel.
Ooh.
I
Oh,
was
good
getting
one. Yes.
heavy caramel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting heavy caramel out of that John's Lane after I had the took a puff of the boxer. I mean, that was good. This is a very kind of like, they're duking it out, a little bit boxing pun, ha ha
Good one.
yeah, but I mean, I would say it's a, it's hard, it's hard to recommend this pairing for somebody specifically. Like, I'd almost have to
Mm-hmm.
really know, like you, I could probably be like, yeah, you're gonna like this pairing because
Mm-hmm.
you like the corojo flavor. You like spice. I guess that's what it would be for anybody who likes spice. Forget that it's an Irish whiskey and forget that it's a Connecticut because typically that wouldn't be what it is. But if you like a little bit spicy pairing and nothing too heavy, this is perfect for you.
What a wild ride that these are both supposed to be like the mellow versions of what they are. And it's like turning out spicy when you put them together.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
very
weird.
interesting. And well, we're gonna take a turn for everybody out there. Chris and I have decided that we're going to go straight. We're gonna put ourselves straight on the hot seat. It was a difficult decision, but we wanted to make it a little bit more. Just you guys can eat this in chunks. So we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do the rating right now, and filibustering a little bit to help us have some more time.
I'm a little scared. I'm like, what happened? Ooh, we don't have the perspective of the other two. I do like this though, because it makes us
Yeah.
it makes it more of a knee jerk reaction, so we don't overthink it, which I like.
Yeah, it's like it's what a pairing should be is a yes or no, right? To
Right.
anybody else out there, like we're just trying to give you some like guidelines of, kind of some range and all that sort of stuff, what we would recommend. But it really in a cigar and a whiskey, I know you agree with me too, like Chris, like you guys don't need to be do you like it or do you not like it? You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
go, does it taste like this stupid chocolate I had in Switzerland or does it taste
All right. All right. I see
I'm
where
just
you're
kidding.
headed.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But but I'm just trying to simplify things. Like it
Mm-hmm.
should be a yes or no, and this is a way that for us to say right away, this is our reaction. The way you guys would do the same thing. If you're in a bar, you're gonna know off the
Right.
first couple puffs. Like we're right where we're at. You guys are gonna know if you're gonna drink it again, if you'd have that pairing again, and that's what we're trying to do right here. So, Chris, are you ready?
Yeah, I'll take the leap of faith first, I guess. So I was just while you're filibustering, I was thinking about it. I'm putting this right at an 8.1 because I do
Oh, okay.
for me this is a really good pairing. But I also maybe it's I'm scared because it's our first one, so I'm like leaving room to improve. But I think it's really good.
I've got an 8.3. I think it's
All right.
solid. I think it's rock solid. I don't think there's anything bad about it. It's not fitting my palate of what I'm in the mood for right now or in general,
Mm-hmm.
but this could definitely, I mean, I could see somebody really enjoying this, like we said, and that's why I wanted to be a little bit forward with who is this for, because it's not for me, but I could definitely, I mean, there's people out there. This would be 8.5, even potentially a 9 if you're really a Connecticut and Irish whiskey guy, you know?
Yeah, I especially think if you're struggling with whiskey and you want it to taste sweeter, this is the pairing. It made that whiskey so sweet. I think that's the other thing we
Yeah,
haven't mentioned. I think definitely complimentary, I would say, because they both got
100%.
elevated a lot.
Definitely complimentary. 100% all the way. Yeah.
So
But
jumping
I
in,
am excited. Yeah, there we go. I
I'm
was like,
so excited. I knew
I
you were
cut you
probably
off. I
wanting
was
to
too
get to it.
excited. I was
I
staring at it.
I figured. I'm excited for it too. I actually took a sip already. So pairing number 2, we've got Cierto Tequila. This is their Extra Anejo. This is, I think we might determine this is like one of the most expensive tequilas I've ever drank, if not the most. And
Yeah, it's
it
like
is,
300.
oh my gosh, it's so tasty. It's like, it's, what is it? It's like mineral lime and agave syrup water. Like that's what it reminds me of. It's like
If
if
it
you're
was
listening,
aged in a barrel,
if it
or
was
like
aged in a barrel,
like
great.
it's got a
Yes.
little bit of characteristic to it of that barrel for sure.
Absolutely. Like if you're listening, you don't know what agave syrup tastes like. It's kind of like I can't even explain to you what agave tastes like, but it's kind of like honey that tastes like agave. So
Yeah.
that's the best way that I can describe it. And this tastes like that aged in a barrel, basically, with a little minerality, a little character to it. Uh, very intriguing taste for sure.
So right off the bat, going from the Cierto Extra Añejo to the Fratello Oro the Boxer, um, I think I'm not positive that I can identify this. I'm not. My palate is not as refined as yours, but I think the cigar tastes like tequila. Like it's got like
Mm-hmm.
agave, but also like it's almost like if the extra añejo Cierto, instead of being aged in a barrel, it was aged in like tobacco. It's like
Mm-hmm.
like I really I can't pinpoint it, but I feel like I'm definitely that agave is coming through in the cigar. But I'm not positive. Like it's a super unique flavor. I think it's a positive,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know how positive it is for me right now. Um, yeah, I got to go back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. But what do you think of that?
I'm with you. I see what you're saying. For me, it's not quite as much agave, but I get it's almost like an agave finished cigar or something. Like it's got
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just
That's
a
yeah.
touch of an agave. It also, I
It's like
feel
a
like it's
tequila finished
okay. So I
cigar,
do
is
want
what
to.
I think.
Yes, yes. I feel like compared to the
Yeah.
John's Lane, it's way less spicy. Like now it's back to being it's very Connecticut-y and a little bit creamy, I would say. It reminds me of like a cream type flavor where it's very smooth and easy and
Yeah.
sweet.
What is that flavor,
Hmm.
man? What is that? That is
Literally the whole time you were talking about that, I was trying to like figure it out. Cuz I get what you're saying and I don't know what it is. It's like,
like it's almost like graham
dude, the
cracker,
guy
maybe.
maybe the guy who does all the crazy tasting notes is at a loss of words. Like I don't know. Um
I think I'm enjoying it though.
yeah, oh, I'm definitely enjoying it. This
Like
is the
it's
flip
good.
side. If the John's Lane
Definitely
made the cigar too spicy for you, this is the opposite. This is like approachable flavor, but still a lot of flavor, but very approachable.
agreed 100% on that. So I'm gonna say that is I don't even know. It's gonna determine if it's ultra or not if we go back to the Cierto tequila here, and it's something way different, and we still get that. But this could be one of those that doesn't really gel, but they trade flavors.
I have a weird one. Maybe. Maybe it's like orange. or like orange
Surprise,
peel or
surprise.
orange citrus.
It could be orange peel. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, try it again.
Hmm.
Try it again. I'm like running through the flavor wheel in my head as I'm tasting this to try to nail something down.
I'm getting more of like a, almost like a lemon lime.
Maybe lemon. Because I was thinking lime, but like tequila for me tastes very limey, and I feel like it's not lime. It might be lemon.
Could be lemon.
It's weird.
But it's yeah, it's really hard, guys. We're trying for you guys. I
Mm-hmm.
promise we're trying to figure this out for you. But it's good if you like something sweet. If you like tequila, this is going to be a good pairing for you. This is definitely doing something to the cigar that I'm enjoying because I like tequila so much. So this is already starting off. This is going to be higher than the Johnny's Lane.
Yeah. Have you jumped back to the tequila yet?
That's not Johnny's Lane. Dang it! I was
John's
like,
Lane.
that
You're
didn't
close.
sound right.
I was just
was
gonna
like,
let it go.
yeah, I was like, I keep wanting to say Johnny for some reason.
It's like the
Yeah,
Irish
whatever.
song, Johnny I Hardly Knew. Yeah, maybe it's stuck in your head. Johnny's
Yeah, there
pretty
you go.
common for Irish, so. But,
Yeah.
so jumping from cigar to tequila now, I'll give you a second to try it because tequila also elevated something interesting, like really, really
Like
sweet,
whiskey.
fair lemonade. Whiskey. I wasn't going that way. I'm intrigued
I
now.
feel like it almost went more like an Irish whiskey.
Well, now I
I
got to try it again. Are you just staring at the John's Lane and thinking about it?
no, I was actually staring at the tequila. I was like, I maybe it was just like, and I forgot to water again because I'm famously bad at that. Maybe it's on my palate too much, but I feel like it's almost like it brings the whiskey esque, it brings the extra añejo out of the tequila. Is all
Mhm.
I was really trying to get across.
I think it definitely cuts back the agave type flavor, the mineral. The mineral type flavor is pretty much gone. Okay. There's definitely a specific flavor. I'm almost there. I'm like, it's on the tip of my tongue. I got to do it one more time. It's
I'm
some
getting a
type of a
little.
gummy that I've had before.
I don't know if I'm getting gummy. Could be like a yellow gummy worm, but
Yes. That's exactly it. I have the
shit.
Albanese gummy worms that are yellow and red. That's the one.
Get out of my head, Chris.
That's
Get
the
out.
one, dude.
No, that's not funny.
Welcome
Son
to
of
the
a.
dark side.
I said yellow gummy worm. What am I doing?
Yeah, you're on. You're spot on. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like a gummy worm. Wow.
Well, also I was getting a little bit of a charred barrel flavor. That sounds like way out of left field now.
Gummy worms just rolled around in a bonfire. I wasn't getting as much char though. I'll try it again to see.
Maybe I'm an extra puffing this cigar because I am really enjoying it. Going back to the cigar real quick while we come up with our ratings here. I do have mine, by the way, but this burn line's great. This ash is holding well. Second ash on the cigar. Very, very beautiful draw. Like, no problems with that. Um, so, I mean, props to Fratello and my dude Omar, man. You did a great job with this one, for sure. 100%.
Yeah, and it's pairing really nicely. I think this one. I think the first pairing was more of a winter or fall pairing. This with the tequila is more of a summer pairing. Like they're both kind of light and lemony and nice. Um, this is the problem with doing the ratings as we go. Now I wish I did the John's Lane higher. Well, I'm struggling. You can
Yeah, it's
if you're listening to the audio version, you can probably hear our gears turning as we're trying to figure out
yeah,
what to
you
rate
really
these things.
can.
Yeah,
So I'll go ahead and give mine then.
yeah. You
So
go. You
so
go.
I actually, but I do this Cierto Extra Anejo is my favorite tequila in the world. So
Mhm.
this is tough for me, but or I should maybe say easy, but I'm giving this one an 8.5. Very solid. It's definitely more of my lane in terms of what we've had so far. And I honestly I think I would have given this an 8.5 regardless of whether we were doing this at the end or now. I think it's just like one of those where like again it's not a 9, it's not a guarantee. I don't think we've landed near a 9 yet, in
Mhm.
my opinion.
I agree with
But
that.
but we've hit very solid pairings. Like eights are like, yeah, have that for sure, dude. You're gonna have a great time. Like
Mhm.
that's what like an 8 is, but it's not like, dude, do not get anything else. Like that's we haven't landed in that blah,
Totally
landed
agree.
in that realm yet. Jeez.
Too much of the tequila.
Yeah, yeah.
I am gonna put 8.0 because for me, especially, I've been on a Corojo kick. The John's Lane, that's what I liked about it. Whereas this is a little bit more approachable. But I almost wish, just to give a little behind the scenes, I kind of wish I did the John's Lane at an 8.5 so I could have this at like an 8.3. But I don't feel too bad about that because I agree with you that we haven't had any yet that are just like, holy cow, don't pick anything else up yet. So I think the fact that it's in the eights is what really tells the story.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, both of these are yes. Like we said, yes
Right.
or no. Both of these so far, yes. So I'm excited to dive in. This third one's gonna be hit or miss. This is a yes or a no. I think it's gonna be either in the eights or it could be in the fives or sixes.
Totally
Yeah.
agreed. This is a hard curveball from what we've had so far. So pairing number 3, we've had it on here before, and we've loved it with darker cigars. So this is a full curveball. We've got Filmland Spirits Moonlight Mayhem Extended Cut. So this is a cask strength bourbon whiskey. It is 57% alcohol by volume, a very bourbony bourbon, if you will. So I'm excited. It's so different from a Irish whiskey or from a tequila.
Yeah, and I feel like having it again. Those of you out there that didn't see me pick up the bottle, yeah. I mean, I am enjoying this too
Mm-hmm.
much. I got a slap on the wrist from Chris because I'm almost finished with it, so I may have to go out and buy it so we can keep it on. But um, I've always felt that the Moonlight Mayhem is it punches you, but then it's like it was a first round, first hit punch, and then it just backs off real
Mm-hmm.
quick. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, I was just testing you, man. You good? It's like,
Right,
yeah, I'm
right.
good. And then it's like, and then there's a dark fruit flavor hidden in that I've always felt
Mm-hmm.
that is there, a very subtle, almost like it was a port, more probably port than Cabernet cask, like a very subtle sweetness on the end, which is probably just kind of the bourbon, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But
Some bourbons will have that dark fruit note buried in there, which I, by the way, love. If you get a bourbon with a very barrely flavor mixed with dark fruit, huge fan. Four Roses Single Barrel does that very well, and so does this Moonlight Mayhem. And yeah, I think I'm gonna venture to say when you go from the Moonlight Mayhem over to the cigar tastes. I don't know if
oh,
it's like a Maduro or if it's like a Corojo with no spice. Does that like it's dark but not spicy?
I'm going Habano.
Oh, Habano. That's a good way to put that.
Yeah,
Yes.
which I know like everybody out there that's like heavy in cigars and be like, dude, Corojo Habano is like nearly the same thing. But for whatever reason, that's just popped in my head. But we were wrong. This is working.
Mm-hmm.
This is working. Now we'll see. I'm already gonna guess antagonistic. Um, I would be shocked if this cigar changes. This Moonlight Mayhem. We have learned nothing in 7 months or 8 months or whatever doing this podcast. Like we
Yeah.
have learned nothing because, I mean, actually, sorry. The only thing we've learned is that we've learned nothing, and there's so much complexity in pairings. That's
Yeah,
what we've learned.
we've learned how amazingly unintuitive pairing is.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
would even venture to say maybe the cigar has a little bit of that dried fruit, like a hint, just a touch of it.
No, it does. It definitely does.
Yeah.
I was getting that a lot in the cigar. Sweetness is coming out. I think it's activating that Connecticut wrapper. It's elevating, obviously, like we said, Habano. It's elevating, but it's activating that like very light, creamy vibe of a Connecticut wrapper, but in a bolder way. Like, oh, this is gonna go some heavy cigar people. It's a Connecticut broadleaf that has been
Ooh.
aged a good bit. It's pretty, yeah, pretty bold.
It's more
in
specific
there. I
than
know.
what I would even know how to comment on. So
Right. Yeah, and that's why I was like, may not even be worth mentioning, but like
oh,
those
it's
cigar people
completely.
out there,
Mm-hmm.
like I think it's got this Connecticut broadleaf. Oh, if you've ever had the, what is that company? Charter Oak. My gosh, it's a pyramid. I'm blanking on this
I can
company.
Google
I'll
it.
get it. I'll
Charter
get it.
Oak
But
Pyramid.
yeah, Charter Oak.
I will
Um,
find out.
the Charter Oak. Gosh, man, I'm gonna freaking kick myself because I know this brand.
Is
Nick
it Foundation?
Foundation. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah. Foundation. Yeah, I was like, dude, yeah, that was last year. It was one of my favorite cigars, and
Mm.
that's what this is tasting like now. It had a bold fruit flavor, had a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, wow,
I'm gonna
dude, this
bring back.
cigar is. Go ahead.
I'm gonna bring back one of my favorite crazy flavor notes that weirdly seems to happen a lot while we're pairing. Fig Newton. The dried fruit, the creamy cookie flavor. It's like a Fig Newton.
I'm gonna stick with Charter Oak just to stick to my
Thought I had you.
stick to my I hate you and your stupid little things.
I almost
So
had you
no,
all the way to the dark side. I tried too hard. That was the problem.
I'm not converting. Fig Newton is too far. I can get the flavors and I see it. I get it, but I'm not giving in. I will never. I will never give in.
Uh-huh.
We have to be yin
Afterward in
and
our
yang
huddle,
here a
he's gonna
little
be
bit.
like, uh-huh. Afterward in our little extra huddle, he's gonna be like, all right, Fig Newton's pretty accurate. Oh no, that's
Fine, just a
interesting.
little bit.
Now, I did go back from the cigar to the whiskey. It's antagonistic, I would say. I think the whiskey is generally sweet and it still tastes like bourbon, but that's most of what's happening, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not feeling any different because there was a second of there where I was like, maybe it's adding some spice, but no, it was like that in the beginning. It has that punch. It's 110 ish,
Yeah,
112,
114.
14. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew it was somewhere around there. I was like, yeah, I mean, that's what you should get from 114. And I do think it drinks like 114. You know, some can be very wavery and all the things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can feel like it's a little more, a little less. But yeah, I think it tastes like 114. And this is antagonistic, but good pairing. Good pairing.
It's a
Threw me
tasty
off.
antagonistic pairing. That being said, I'll jump into my rating. I feel pretty confident saying this is a 7.8 for me as a whiskey lover. Because I think the cigar tastes phenomenal, but as a whiskey lover, I like to get more from the whiskey in my pairings.
Yeah, that's fair enough because I'm going 8.8.
8.8. Well, I get it. I get
Yeah.
it if you're a cigar lover. I do.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not on a Connecticut kick, and it's getting closer to the kick that I'm on. You know,
Okay.
so like that only makes sense. And closer to my palate in general. I love those. I really love a pairing too. This is actually we're almost getting away from. Is it cigar focused? Is it whiskey focused? I love a pairing that does bring out where the dark fruit flavors come out of that cigar. I think
Mm-hmm.
every single time we've had that, I've really enjoyed the pairing. So
Mm-hmm.
it is almost more of a pairing in general, but again, it is because I'm not focusing on the whiskey as much, which is true. So
Yeah, I agree though, because it's like cigars, you don't get the same experience that you get with whiskey, where when they're finished, you get that real obvious dark fruit note. So when you get it out of a pairing, it's like a little exciting. It's like a cigar's not supposed to taste like that, really. And so that
right,
definitely is interesting. It adds a layer to it.
yeah, 100% agree with you on that. And yeah, I mean, it feels a little weird that we're not going to go through the rankings, but we can do a little recap of the rankings of how we ranked them, and then we can close up, and everybody can be happy that we tried to keep it a little short, little digestible for you guys. So I had number one was the Filmland Spirits Moonlight Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
At number two, I had the Cierto Extra Anejo Tequila, and at number three, I had the Powers Johns Lane. Boom!
And you got the name right. All right.
I got the name right.
I had the exact opposite, actually. I had the Powers Johns Lane, But then just by that much, I had the Cierto right below that, and then I had the Filmland Spirits Moonlight Mayhem. I almost said the Foonland Spirits. Whew, it's a strong whiskey. The Filmland Spirits Moonlight Mayhem. But once again, just all three of them were pairings that I'd be happy with for sure.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. And I know next week we've got a very interesting pairing. So, guys, stay tuned for that. We appreciate you watching. As always, if you're not a part of the Perfect Pairing Club and you didn't receive this Fratello Oro the Boxer, make sure you join the Perfect Pairing Club. You get 4 to 5 cigars a month for $30. And if you sign up, you get 4 extra cigars. You get 2 more extra cigars that have your last name and initials on them. And you get a whiskey dram that says member on it, as you can see here if you're on the video. And yeah, you get all those bonuses just for signing up, and you'll get the cigar of the week every single week. And then you get a bunch of bonuses. You get a Cigar 101 ebook. You get Chris's Whiskey 101 course. You get a Pairing 101 course. And now you also get a secret little under the table interview. Not under the table, it's public, but you get free access to the interview that I did with Rick Rodriguez about how his entire training experience of becoming a master blender was. That was a super interesting, in-depth conversation. It was about an hour long, and I learned so much. I knew a lot about tobacco, but I learned so much on that one. So, Chris, I don't think I even have told you that secret.
I'm finding out about it right now.
Yeah. So we interviewed that. We did that a couple weeks ago. It's fully edited, so everybody's gonna have it now. And yeah, great pairings, Chris.
Yeah, this one turned out really good. So I'm really glad that it shows the massive spectrum of flavors that this cigar works with. If I had to guess another one, I know we weren't planning to do this, but I want to try to guess what I would put this with next. I would be interested to try this. I'm between two different ones in my head. I'm gonna say with a Brook Latte, with the Brook Latte Classic Latte, because I want to see how light you can go and this cigar still tastes the way it tastes. I'm interested.
You and I are going opposite directions here. I'm going the Barrel Seagrass.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Fruity,
but
too.
Just because I really enjoyed the Filmland there, so I think that would be an interesting one to see where that would land. But
yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to try those fourth pairings after we close it up. So good pairing.
Yeah, good episode overall. Cheers, man.
Cheers.